All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to be going through every 2024-2025 NFL win total projection for all 32 teams in the NFL. We got 32 teams to cover, so let's just get right into it. Coming in at 5.5 projected wins, the Tennessee Titans are sitting here. Now, Tennessee finished 3-14. They were 27th in scoring. They were 30th in scoring defense. They had the most turnovers per game at 2. Neither quarterback, Will Levis, nor Mason Rudolph really impressed, but they do have the number 1 overall pick, and this was the first year with a first-year head coach. So this was really unfortunate for me because this is a team I had thought was going to be a dark horse this year, but they weren't. They went 3-14, but once again, number 1 overall pick in the draft. New England Patriots also clocking in here at 5.5 projected wins. Now, New England finished 4-13. They were 30th in scoring, but Drake May, when he was finally introduced as the starting quarterback for this team, really impressed. And with their draft capital, with their cap space, along with the new hiring of Mike Vrabel at the head coach position, I'm expecting a very big turnaround with Drake May entering his sophomore campaign. And, maybe they win not 14 games, 13 games this upcoming season, but if you watch Drake May play football this past season, there's a lot to be excited for. Also clocking in at 5.5 projected wins, we have the Carolina Panthers. Now, Carolina technically finished 5-12. So once again, 3 straight teams going under their win projection total. Bryce Young, however, looked very good at the end of the regular season despite being benched earlier on. They were the 32nd ranked scoring defense, so keep an eye on that as we enter the draft and free agency process. But this was their first year under head coach Dave Canales. They have a very bright future, in my opinion, especially the way Bryce Young played in the last 2 months, and they also have the 8th overall pick. Now, joining the 5.5 win totals, we have the Denver Broncos. Now, obviously, Denver made the playoffs. They went 10-7. They snapped their almost 10-year playoff drought. And having a rookie QB and Bo Nix behind it, the future is brighter than ever. I just made a Broncos video. Everyone should go check it out. But this is probably one of the bigger Vegas misses of the entire season. And then finally, our last 5.5 win projected team, we have the New York Giants, who finished 3-14. The quarterback situation was an absolute mess. Daniel Jones ended up getting traded to the Minnesota Vikings to be their backup QB. They averaged 16.1 points per game. It was second to worst in the National Football League, but I would expect big offensive changes this upcoming offseason. Malik Neighbors, the good news is he's an absolute stud, and they also have the number 3rd pick in the draft. Now, moving forward, we got a pair of 6.5 projected wins from Las Vegas, and speaking of Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Raiders were what's the word? Of course, I'm missing it. Projected to win 6.5 games, around 6.5 games this season. Las Vegas, unfortunately, went 4-13, but they've had a very good offseason thus far. John Spytek as their brand new GM, who had a very good career with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the last couple of seasons. And they're hiring, or are about to hire, Pete Carroll to be their official head coach, which is going to bring them the culture they need. And the cherry on top, they also have the number 6th overall pick in the NFL draft. All right, guys, before we get back to this video here, once again, shout out to our sponsor, BetUS. We're over here on their website. In case you catch this, we've got the NFC Conference Championship along with the AFC Conference Championship less than 24 hours from now. Just wanted to throw that on the screen, but folks, don't forget they're offering 150% bonus on your first deposit and 125% bonus on your next 2, all with the code YouTube150. But let's get back to the other 6.5 win projected team were the Jacksonville Jaguars, who finished 4-13. But with Liam Cohen as their new head coach, the GM fired to get Liam, along with the number 5th overall draft pick in this year's class, there's a lot to be excited about. Tank Bigsby, you have absolute future superstar stud Brian Thomas coming off a great season, even though Trevor Lawrence was injured and you had Mac and Cheddar Cheese Jones step in his place. Intriguing situation going on in Jacksonville. Getting to the 7.5 win projected teams, we got the Chicago Bears, who just finished 5-12, but Caleb Williams, the rookie number 1 overall draft pick, looked very good. They also just hired Ben Johnson as their official head coach. They also have the 10th overall pick and 2 second-round draft picks because of the Bryce Young trade from a couple of seasons ago. Joining them at 7.5 wins projected, we have the Los Angeles Rams, who finished well above their metric at 10-7. They won the NFC West, which is crazy. They were unfortunately a second-round exit to the Philadelphia Eagles, and now there's some question marks surrounding what's Cooper Kupp's future with this team, what's Matthew Stafford's future with not only this team, but more so the National Football League. But the good news is their young defense, Puka, Kyra Williams, their future looks very good, all right? Now another 7.5 win projected team. We have the Miami Dolphins, who finished 8-9. Really interesting, crappy season, in my opinion, if you're a Miami Dolphin fan. They were a top 10 scoring defense, but Tua, with the concussion early, mid-ish on the season, pretty much ended their playoff hopes early on. So cool that they salvaged 8-9, but not great. They technically were above their win total, though. And then we have probably the biggest disappointment of this year's projections, the Cleveland Browns, also clocking in at 7.5 projected wins. Now, the Browns went 3-14. Deshaun Watson, even though no one's really rooting for him, got injured again, and then he got injured again. Absolute mess of a season. But the good news for the Cleveland Browns is they have the 2nd pick in the NFL draft. Another 7.5 win projected team, the Indianapolis Colts, despite a brief Anthony Richardson benching early-ish on in the season. The Indianapolis Colts finished 8-9. I personally still like their future, but they're going to need to go out there and get some solidified guys in free agency. Arizona Cardinals also clocking in at 7.5 projected wins. Now, the Cardinals kind of similar to the Colts in the sense of they both finished 8-9. Now, the Cardinals actually led the NFC West at one point, but then a bad 3-game losing streak pretty much eliminated them from the playoffs. Marvin Harrison Jr. is super cool. Trey McBride is even cooler, and he's even more unbelievably underrated. So kind of interesting situations going on in Arizona and Indianapolis. Now, the final 7.5 win projected team is, of course, the Washington Commanders, who just had an insane season. They went 12-5, number 2 in their division. They're still in the playoffs. We're less than 24 hours from their division or conference championship game on the road against the Philadelphia Eagles, but they were 5th in scoring, and this was one of, if not the best rookie quarterback season we've ever seen from Jaden Daniels. So very, very excited. I'm sure all of my Commanders fans watching this video are. Getting to the 8.5 win projected teams, we have the Los Angeles Chargers, who just went 11-6 in the first year of Harbaugh. Expect a huge jolt of free agents for the offense. Specifically, we don't know what's happening with J.K. Dobbins, but I'm looking at tight end. I'm also looking at a solidified wide receiver 1, Ladd McConkey, although just had a phenomenal rookie season. The playoff loss to Houston left a sour taste pretty much because of Justin Herbert, but their future, in my opinion, is extremely bright. Another 8.5 team, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Very depressing end to a 10-7 season, winning the division, the NFC South. They just lost another offensive coordinator for Baker Mayfield, but with some juicy free agent acquisitions for this defense, I actually think their future is extremely bright. Then we also have the Cincinnati Bengals clocking in at 8.5. Now, technically, they did go above it. They went 9-8, but due to their slow start, No playoffs for the MVP season that Joe Burrow just had. New defensive coordinator just arrived, and that's good because they need a lot of help on the defensive side. Getting to the 9.5s, we got a bunch, starting off with the Baltimore Ravens, who just went 12-5. They won the NFC North, but they're coming off a bad playoff loss to the Buffalo Bills. Not really sure what else they can do moving forward. It's a good but also bad, kind of crappy time to be a Baltimore Raven fan. It reminds me of my Green Bay Packers with Aaron Rodgers minus the Super Bowl, and that sounded even worse. Not throwing any shade at the Baltimore Ravens here, sorry. We also have the Dallas Cowgirls at 9.5 projected wins. It was a brutal season. They finished 7-10. They also have a brand new head coach because Mike McCarthy decided to depart. Dakota Prescott got injured halfway, and it's expensive, very expensive team. I'm curious what is next for the Dallas Cowgirls. Then we have my Green Bay Packers also clocking in at 9.5 projected wins. They just went 11-6. They finished in the loaded NFC North as the number 3 team, but Jordan Love got injured week 1. The defense with a brand new defensive coordinator finished 6th in scoring. In my opinion, they just need some more vets on both sides of the football. We have another yikes. Actually, we got back-to-back yikes, starting with the Atlanta Falcons, also projected to win 9.5 football games this upcoming season. They just went 8-9. Kirk Cousins got benched in the final month of the season. Thank goodness they have Michael Penix, Bijan Robinson, and Drake London, and also a very good offensive line. Joining them at 9.5, we have the New York Jets. They did horrible. They went 5-12. They just hired Aaron Glenn to be their head coach. We don't really know if Aaron Rodgers is coming back or if he's retiring. It's still a really good team, but the issue is that's on paper. That's Madden statistics. But they also have the 7th overall pick in the NFL draft. Joining them as well at 9.5 wins, we had the New Orleans Saints, who started 2-0, but they finished 5-12. Dennis Allen got fired. Everybody got hurt. They're still in cap hell. But hey, you know what? They have the 9th overall pick. And you got Chris Olave, Kamara. There's talent on offense and defense with the New Orleans Saints, but they severely, what's the word I'm looking for? Where it just didn't happen. Of course, I forget this. They went 5-12 and they're projected 9.5 wins. Also, another 9.5 projected win team. We have the Seattle Seahawks, who technically went over it at 10-7, but no playoffs. However, it was a great year, first year for new head coach, rookie head coach Mike Macdonald. But we're all kind of wondering what their quarterback future is with Geno Smith. But the good news is they had the 11th scoring defense in the NFL. Then the final 9.5 win projected team, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, who just like Seattle, but made the playoffs, went 10-7, but it was once again another first round exit. What can they really even do at quarterback? This team needs some results, whether it's Justin, Russell Wilson, or a rookie or somebody else. We need to see some results here. All right, the final stretch, we have the 10.5 win projected team clocking in. Number 1, San Francisco 49ers at 10.5 wins. They went 6-11. Now, they were super injured. It was a very weird year. People are wondering if the window is closed. I don't really think so, but I do think it is by far clearly time to perform. And they also just got Robert Saleh as their defensive coordinator. Joining them at 10.5, I don't think this is right. The Minnesota Vikings, like, what the hell? I don't get that in any way, shape, or form. I'm pretty positive their projected wins was like 6.5, at most 7.5. This was like the one thing from this Vegas website, Vegas Insider, that I thought was not even close. But apparently to them, they thought the Minnesota Vikings were going to be a good team. I don't buy it either way, neither here nor there. The Minnesota Vikings just finished 14-3 in the regular season, but unfortunately a wild card loss on the road to the Los Angeles Rams. Sam Darnold is probably gone, but I do think that's okay. They have a very good roster for J.J. McCarthy coming off of his injury. Detroit Lions also at 10.5. They went 15-2, lost in the divisional round to the Washington Commanders, so one and done. Very injured team. Sometimes it's just not meant to be. They lost both coordinators, but I really think it's going to be okay. And then finally, the last 10.5 win projected team, we have the Houston Texans, who just went 10-7 and won the AFC South. Unfortunately for them, they lost in the divisional round to the Kansas City Chiefs, but they actually looked really good. At times, they were very injured at the wide receiver position, and they shot themselves in the foot numerous times in that game against Kansas City. Not saying they should have won it, but referees, special teams, I mean, it was clear why Houston lost that football game, but the future is still looking good. And then the final three, we have the Buffalo Bills at 11.5 projected wins. This kind of feels like it might be their year. They're 13-4 in the regular season, and they have a huge road game against the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday. It's been an amazing season for the Buffalo Bills. The final 11.5 win projected team were the Philadelphia Eagles, who also just had a great season, going 14-3, and they too, or not two, but they also are playing the conference championship, but this one's going to be at home. Saquon Barkley was money, great acquisition. It's been a great season for the Philadelphia Eagles. And then obviously, as I'm sure most people were expecting, the Kansas City Chiefs were projected to win 12.5 games, or the win total was projected at 12.5. They ended up winning 15. I don't have anything else to say about the Kansas City Chiefs. That's it for me. Hit that like button, hit that sub button. I just talked for 16 straight minutes nonstop. My throat is killing me. Let me know if you enjoyed this type of video. Shout out to our sponsor, BetUS, and we will see you in a couple of days. Peace.